Pregame.com.
Saturday, college football, Maryland at NC State. I'm Marco D'Angelo. I'm joined by Brian Leonard. We're going to take a look at this game. I understand we might be disagreeing, Brian.
It won't be the first time.
Won't be the first. Won't be the last.
No.
I might have to start tallying this up and see.
Well, you got me last week. You had Iowa, and I kind of leaned the other way, although I was doing it more for an argument's sake, but that was a good pick.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Well, word of advice, the best bets don't do it, but this one's just a regular play, so you got a fighting chance.
All right.
Which I wouldn't argue with you on your best bets, especially if it's in a MAC. Yeah. You are the MAC attack. Maryland and NC State. Brian, I see this game, and I see this as a horrible spot for NC State. They're coming off a monster upset last week against Clemson. Maryland, the only pause that I could give on Maryland is this team's thrown in a towel. They've got nothing to look forward to. They've lost umpteen games in a row to close out the season. But I just don't see NC State coming up and being a solid play here off of such a huge upset. And NC State's just never traditionally been a good favorite. Tell me where I'm wrong.
That's all you got?
Well, it's for starters. I don't want to put everything on the table right away.
All right. So you're showing me a 2 and a 5, basically, on the first two cards. Yeah, you have a great point with Maryland throwing the towel in. They've lost 9 straight games against FBS competition, and in those games they failed to cover by 92 points. So I guess if you're a value player, there's got to be some value on Maryland. But keep in mind, they've got 39 seniors on this team, and they haven't come within 10 points in any of their last 6 games. So it's not like they're giving good efforts right now. There's no reason for them at this point to put forth a great effort in this game. And NC State, they are off a win last week. I wouldn't call it a huge upset because Clemson obviously had bigger fish to fry. And even if you read the papers, it was obvious that they were going to have overlooked that game, and the line proved it, as it was really bet down all week long. NC State needs this game. They need to win this game to clinch a winning record. And if you follow coaching trends, and I'll give a heads up to Dave Malinsky, Las Vegas handicapper I respect greatly, and he talked about this in one of his shows that he does. Tom O'Brien is an excellent coach as the season goes on. Going back through his days at Boston College and now at NC State, if you follow NC State, the last 7 games of the year since he's been there, they're 24-10 against the spread. Once again, have done very well this year. They're getting healthy. That defense looks so terrible when they played Cincinnati on national TV, because I know I had them. I lost NC State, and that was an ugly game. But ever since that time when they had all these injuries, they're getting these players back. They're playing well. They shut out North Carolina, who doesn't have a great offense, but they were a big underdog in that game. So they win that game in shutout fashion. They're playing very good ball right now. And they're 12-7 in their home finales. They've traditionally played very well here. And if you remember last year, I believe it was their last home game before their bowl game. In fact, it had to have been on the road. But they lost to Maryland, and that cost them a 10-win season. So they're going to remember that situation. So I think the only thing, I'm not buying into the Maryland, the deuce system or anything like that. The one thing I will say is NC State winning last week against Clemson in such a fashion may inflate the line a little bit, because unless you follow the teams closely and you knew that Clemson really wasn't preparing for that game. So there's a little bit of advantage there. I do like NC State in this game. I am not playing it personally because the line's a little bit higher than what my numbers say. So I'm not totally against you on this game, but there's no way in hell I'm going to play Maryland in this game.
Okay. You hit some of your points are actually my other points. I'll put the rest of my cards on the table. I do think this line is extremely inflated. I think it is an overreaction to last week's score where, as you said, to the average guy watching the game, he sees Clemson, a nationally ranked team, just get drilled on TV. He doesn't really realize Clemson had nothing to play for in that game. It was, we want to get in and get out without injury and move on to the ACC championship game. This is a situation where it made NC State look better than they really were. Then you compound the fact that Maryland just gets drilled by Wake Forest. Now you've got a line that's much more than it should be. And I'm looking at a little bit of history. You touched on 2 games ago, NC State beat their arch rival, North Carolina. They shut them out. Great performance. It wasn't a high-scoring game. They beat them 13-0, but they shut them out. What'd they do the week after that? They came out, fell flat on their face at Boston College, a team that's not a really good team, and they lose up there 14-10. So this team has shown me that, like the Baltimore Ravens in the NFL, when they do something good, they don't always follow it up with something good again. I think there's value. You also touched upon the must-win factor. This is something that a lot of handicappers, they're split. They're either on one side of the fence or the other. They want that team that they know is motivated, and I'm on the other side. I think you're paying a premium for that team that's motivated. Vegas knows it, and especially when you're playing another team that isn't going anywhere, misery loves company is my philosophy. And if that team's has a chance to go to a bowl, and I'm not, and the only thing that's keeping them from going to the bowl is if I upset their parade, rain on their parade, that's big time motivation for me is I want to screw you. My season's gone in the crapper. I want to do it, and I'm getting extra points doing it. That's the rest of my cards on this one. That's why I'm taking Maryland. I feel we got tremendous value here. We've got a team, use a saying in horse racing, you know how they add weight to, the better horse in the field. Because NC State is the team that's in the must-win, and the public all knows it. You can't go anywhere on the internet or watch ESPN and not have them put up one time in SportsCenter the graphic. Here's the teams that need to win this week to become bowl eligible.
Well, that's one of the main reasons why you do power ratings, so you know if it's in the value or not. You take a look at the USC game this week. My number was 17.5 on the game, so it's down to 14, and people are still talking about it, even though it's already been affected in line by 3.5 points. So there's certain games you need to be able to know if it's been impacted in the line, and this game slightly, because I agree. This is a higher line than what I wanted to lay.
Okay, well, there you go. You got a mild opinion for NC State from Brian. I'm making an official free pick on Maryland plus the points. That's my play. I've actually got the game 23-20. I say NC State finds a way to win it, but I'm going to take the inflated number with Maryland. Grab the points. That's the end of my college videos this week. Brian will be back later with VR. You're going to do some NFL and college. And I'll be back with Stephen Nover. We're going to cover the NFL. We've got some free picks for you in the NFL. And as always, let's carry on the conversation. Go to the forums. We'll have the mega thread in the forums where we have all of the videos listed in one place. We'll put our show notes up. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Brian, myself, Stephen Nover, VR, we'll all be in there to answer your questions. And it's just a fun place to keep the conversation going. Or if you got a question on another game, fire it out there. One of us will give you an answer. He's Brian Leonard. I'm Marco D'Angelo. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the games this weekend.